Hello YouTube, my name is Sam, and this episode of Sam's Vlog is going to be about sexual harassment. No, I'm not talking about the legit types of sexual harassment that prompted the whole metoo movement. I want to talk about a part of it that nobody seems to want to talk about, the stuff that is oftentimes classified as sexual harassment when it's really not, okay? I'll give you an example. Recently, Brie Larson was talking about, according to her, an uncomfortable experience she recently had at an airport where a TSA agent tried to chat her up and ask her for her number. And instead of telling the guy, can't blame a guy for trying, but thanks but no thanks, she basically whined and complained that he was sexually harassing her. Since when is asking for a phone number sexual harassment? And I have heard, and I'm sure you have heard, many stories where a guy just merely said something like, "You look nice today," or "That color really suits you," and boom, they were hauled into the office for sexual harassment. And many years ago, I think when Tom Brady won his third Super Bowl ring back in 2005, he appeared as a host on Saturday Night Live, where he did a skit that was like a fake sexual harassment PSA, and the gist of the whole skit was the only difference between getting a date from a hot female coworker and being hauled into the office for sexual harassment is looking ugly and looking like Tom Brady. As someone I know said recently, his words was, a lot of times sexual harassment is the right thing said or done by the wrong person. And no, I'm not talking about, Harvey Weinstein level of creepiness. I'm talking about just benign stuff. For example, if you tell a woman nowadays, "You look nice today," or "That color really suits you," or something similar to that, or merely asking her out for coffee, or asking for her number, you run the risk of her running to management and trying to get you fired for sexual harassment. I should know because, well, quite frankly, it almost happened to me. Here's what happened. Many years ago, in a place I used to work, I complimented this chick on her hair. And 30 minutes later, my boss comes up to me and says, "Sam, I don't want you talking to her or chatting her up or doing anything of the sort anymore." And I asked him why. All I did was compliment her on her hair. And his words was, "She doesn't appreciate it. I'm letting you know now so it doesn't become an issue." So I didn't bother saying anything else to her. Later on, I found out secondhand that after I complimented her on her hair, she turned around to one of the guys I was sitting behind her and said, "In what universe does that dork thinks he has a shot with me?" It must be known that this girl was fired from this place because of a general bad attitude and bad work ethic. But that's the thing, is that literally, a lot of times, sexual harassment just simply comes down to the guy just not being properly hunky enough. Okay? It's unfortunately the world we live in, and it shouldn't be that way. You should be able to freely compliment someone, politely, not lewdly, of course, without running the risk of being hauled into the office for SH. You should also be able to ask out someone without being hauled into the office for SH. Whatever happened to "no thank you"? Instead of, "I'm gonna complain on you for sexual harassment." And another thing too, thanks to all this crap, it has made it impossible for guys to swing for the fences or persist anymore when trying to get someone they like. Because nowadays, if you try to swing for the fences, you might get, complained on for sexual harassment. If you try to persist, you might get complained on for sexual harassment. It's bullshit. And I'm going to tell you guys a little story, a hypothetical story, if you will, about an office dork by the name of Timmy. And no, I'm not talking about myself here, okay? Basically, what's going on here is Let's say that Timmy works in an office. He does his job very well. He's considered a model employee, but he has a tendency to want to swing for the fences, so to speak. One day, one of his colleagues says, I understand your bravery, but one day you're going to try to chat up the wrong girl, and she is going to get so offended that you're not the right type of guy to do that, and she is going to get your ass hauled into the office for sexual harassment. And Timmy goes to him, that's ridiculous. No girl would ever do that. Well, Timmy decides to chat up a new girl. She is so offended by the fact that he's not properly hunky enough that she gets him hauled into the office for sexual harassment. Now, should Timmy get suspended or lose his job for simply swinging for the fences? I don't think so. And I unfortunately made the mistake of telling this story to a feminist, and her response was, maybe Timmy shouldn't be using the workplace as a singles bar. And I says, okay, but let's say there was a different setting. Let's say he was walking his dog at a dog park and he tried to chat up a woman there. Would you say the same thing? And she goes, maybe Timmy shouldn't be using the dog park as a singles bar. I said, okay, but what if he's at a supermarket picking out produce and he sees a cute girl he finds attractive and he wants to chat her up? And this woman says, well, maybe Timmy shouldn't be using the supermarket as a singles bar. Okay, here's what I have to say to this. How is Timmy supposed to meet anybody if he's supposed to stay away from women he sees and finds attractive? You know? It's ridiculous, you know? Nobody's going to be able to meet anymore. And to be honest with you, thanks to this whole Me Too situation, a lot of guys are going to be too scared to even approach women for fear that they're going to cry assault or harassment. It's crazy. I mean, I really don't know. It just boggles my mind. You know, there are a lot of guys that are going to find it safer to just sit at home and make a date with their favorite porn star in their left or right hand than it is to try to approach women nowadays. And I know that may sound ridiculous, but you know what? I've actually heard it, I've actually read it plenty of times before on people's Facebook and other social media that they would rather be alone than try to approach women for fear that they might, you know, cry harassment. It's just crazy. But anyway, I apologize for running long on this, and if you want to leave a comment, please do so. And anyway, that's this episode of Sam's Vlog, and you have yourself a good night. Bye.